What if the night wasn't the end of your day, but the beginning of something else entirely? What if every time your head hits the pillow, you aren't slipping into unconscious rest, but stepping through an ancient doorway, into a temple older than time, where silence teaches louder than words, and shadows whisper truths that daylight forgets? What happens to you while you sleep? Your body rests, but your mind, your consciousness, it does not sleep. It does not vanish. It travels. It detaches. It explores. It remembers what your waking self has long forgotten, that you are more than a body lying still in the dark. You are a traveler, an infinite, eternal spark of awareness, surfing the currents of unseen dimensions. You may not recall the journeys, but your soul does, because in the depths of night, something sacred unfolds, something very few understand. But your soul has always known. Every ancient civilization believed it, that when we sleep, we don't just dream, we return to the realms of spirit, to the archives of eternity, to the hidden chambers where reality is molded in thought, and the soul is taught in symbols. In ancient Egypt, priests of the temple believed that sleep was a sacred ritual, a divine disconnection from the shell of the body, so the soul could fly free, gathering visions from the gods and bringing back messages for the living. They called these dreams not fiction but prophecy. They carved them into stone, studied them like holy scripture, because they knew the night reveals what the sun conceals. Plato, too, whispered of it in Athens, that while the body lies inert, the soul, unshackled by flesh, ascends to a more perfect realm, interacting with forms and intelligences far beyond the human sphere. Buddhist monks have trained for lifetimes in the art of dream yoga, not to escape reality, but to master it from the inside out. They believe the dream world is a preparation for death, a rehearsal for the moment the soul leaves the body forever. And what you learn in your sleep, you carry beyond the veil. From the temples of the East to the pyramids of the Nile, from the mystics of Sufi Islam to the astral schools of the West, there's a thread that weaves through all time. One message echoed across continents and centuries. Sleep is not absence. Sleep is access. It is the sacred reset, the astral bridge, the hidden classroom of the divine. And yet, modern science, with all its machines and maps of the mind, is only just beginning to glimpse the edge of this truth. They tell us about REM, rapid eye movement, a state where the brain lights up with electric storms of imagery, where dreams bloom like fireworks behind closed eyelids. They describe theta waves and delta waves, the patterns of brain activity that mimic deep meditation, psychedelic trips, and even near-death experiences. Yes, the science is beginning to see what the mystics have always known, that sleep is a sacred passage, a return to source, a reconnection with the unseen, a recalibration of the soul. But still, they ask, if the brain is all there is, if consciousness is nothing but chemistry, then why, in sleep, do so many see what they've never seen? Why do people report conversations with the dead, encounters with light beings, journeys to cities made of sound and memory? Why do dreams sometimes bleed into reality, with warnings, visions, and miracles that defy explanation? Is it just imagination, or are we glimpsing something real? And more importantly, where does your consciousness go when you are no longer aware of being aware? Close your eyes. Feel it. You've been there before, haven't you? That moment before sleep, when the room dissolves, when your body becomes weightless, when your thoughts aren't thoughts anymore, but visions, shapes, places, voices. That is the threshold. That is where it begins. It's called the hypnagogic state, a mysterious in-between where the waking mind hands the keys to the subconscious and reality starts to melt. You're still awake, but you're not. You're still here, but you're somewhere else. This is the secret gate, the softest portal and the most powerful, because here, your consciousness begins to shift, not randomly, but according to one secret law the ancients always taught: frequency governs destination. If you fall asleep in fear, you may descend into chaotic realms, dense with unresolved emotion, tangled in symbolism your mind hasn't yet learned to read. But if you lie down in peace, in gratitude, with intention, then you may rise. You may enter the places where spirit speaks, where your higher self teaches, and where the veils between worlds grow thin. You may dream of things that haven't happened yet, because in these dimensions, time is not linear. You may meet a loved one long gone. Because the soul does not die, only changes form. You may float above your own body, watching yourself sleep, only to awaken with a memory so vivid, so haunting, you wonder if it was real. And perhaps it was. Perhaps it always is. Because here's the truth, the sacred, unsettling truth you've always sensed but never quite put into words. You are not dreaming, you are remembering. You are remembering the ancient roads, the lost temples of spirit, the invisible guides that walk beside you, not in the daylight, but in the dark. So tonight, don't just fall asleep. Initiate yourself. Approach the pillow like it's an altar. Lay down like the ancients did, as if you are entering a temple. Because you are, and the journey has only just begun. There are things your waking mind could never believe, but your soul remembers them vividly because it's been there. Many times. Every night, in fact. And while you sleep, your consciousness steps beyond the veil, out of the illusion of form and into the truth of vibration. But the world you enter is not always the same, because you don't travel with your feet. You travel with your frequency. This is why some nights, your dreams feel like chaos, a swirl of nonsense, shadows, and forgotten faces. And other nights, it feels like something holy cracked open and showed you a piece of forever. It's not the dreams that change, it's you, the traveler. Your inner state is the map. Your emotions are the vehicle. Your intention is the key. When you sleep, the body powers down, but the mind, the consciousness, steps into a different kind of world. A mirror world, a liquid world, where thoughts become landscapes, where fear becomes monsters, where hope becomes golden stairways that lead you upward. These are not just metaphors. Mystics from across the world, from the desert sages of Kabbalah to the dream walkers of Aboriginal Australia, have all described the same truth in different tongues, that there is an astral realm, a dimension just beyond the physical, layered over ours like invisible film, accessible not by technology, but by awareness. Here, the laws of matter fall away, the walls between time and space dissolve. Here, your spirit can rise, and many already do, without even knowing it. Robert Monroe, a man who never intended to become a mystic, once stumbled into this reality by accident. He was a businessman, a radio executive, but something happened. He began leaving his body at night, floating above it, traveling to places he could not explain. At first, he thought it was madness, but then he began to explore. He kept journals. He invited scientists. He tested his experiences, and what he discovered was that consciousness does not end at the skin. It extends, it travels, it learns. He called it the out-of-body experience, astral projection, a real, repeatable process by which the mind, when freed from the body's illusion, can access higher dimensions of being. Dr. Charles Tart confirmed it with research. Others followed, and yet it remains hidden from the mainstream. Why? Because if you knew what you were capable of, you would no longer be controllable. If you knew that every night you had the power to break free, to speak with spirit, to fly beyond the body, to glimpse your soul's contract from a higher view, you might not wake up the same. And that's the point, because these journeys aren't just entertainment, they are initiation. Astral travel is not a fantasy, it is training, and your consciousness has likely already been practicing. The signs are subtle. Have you ever had a dream where you were flying, but it didn't feel like a dream? Have you ever woken up with knowledge you never studied? Clarity you couldn't explain? A sensation that you had just returned from somewhere else? That's not coincidence. That's memory. Fragments of a journey your conscious mind can't always carry, because the density of this world makes it hard to hold light. But there are ways to begin remembering. There are rituals, ancient and simple, that can reopen the gates. It starts with intention. Every night before sleep, set your aim, not like a demand, but like a prayer. Say softly to yourself, "Tonight, I will remember. Tonight, I will rise. Let me be guided, and let me return with wisdom." You don't need incense. You don't need crystals. You need only sincerity and repetition. The mind responds to patterns. The soul responds to invitation. Say it again, and again, and again, not just with words, but with feeling, and then release. Don't try to force the dream. Just drift, and trust that something within you has heard. Because it has. You are not going anywhere you haven't already been. You are returning. Some describe the astral plane as a mirror, reflecting the energies we carry. It has levels, not in space, but in vibration. The lower astral is heavy, filled with fears, anxieties, unresolved wounds. You don't go there because you're bad. You go there because part of you still believes the lie of separation. The middle astral, that's where most dreams occur. It's fluid, symbolic, a place of metaphor and memory. And then there's the higher astral, a realm of light, where teachers dwell, where colors sing, where the soul remembers its origin. Those who reach it describe it as more real than here. They return in tears, not of sadness, but of awe, because for a moment they touched God, not a man in the sky, but the eternal field that breathes through all things. You have been there too, even if you don't remember. And tonight, you can go again. But know this, you do not need to escape your life to do this work. You only need to approach sleep with reverence. It is not an ending, it is a return. And what waits on the other side of that return is nothing short of revelation. Before the world taught you to see sleep as silence, your ancestors knew it as a sacred ritual, an alchemical process where the soul could rise and the unseen could be seen. They never rushed to bed. They approached sleep like an offering, like walking barefoot into a holy place. And that's the key we've lost. Not the science, not the language, but the reverence, because what happens in your sleep does not begin when your eyes close. It begins with the energy you carry into the dark, your emotional state. Your vibration is the blueprint your consciousness follows when it leaves the body. If your heart is cluttered, if your mind is heavy, if you're filled with resentment, fear, or distraction, your journey will reflect that. But if you clear the path, if you enter sleep with awareness, with peace, with a sacred aim, then something miraculous can happen. You begin to remember that sleep is not just rest, it is a meeting between your conscious self and your higher self, a communion between your mind and the deeper wisdom of the cosmos. That's why some dreams feel random, and others feel like revelations, because they are. But revelation does not visit the uninvited. You must knock, you must ask, and you must feel it in your bones that you are ready. And when you do, the dream world becomes something else entirely. A school, a temple, a mirror to your evolution. The mystics have always known this. And the mystics never sleep by accident. They prepare, they cleanse, sometimes with water, sometimes with prayer, sometimes with nothing but intention. Because the astral realm does not respond to rituals. It responds to resonance. One of the most powerful ways to shape your sleep is with what the ancients would call pre-sleep programming, and what the modern world is only just beginning to rediscover. In that soft threshold between wakefulness and dream, known as the hypnagogic state, the gates of your subconscious swing wide open. Here, your brain is between waves, neither here nor there. It listens, it receives, and it believes. Whatever you plant in this moment takes root. This is how the mystics would receive visions. This is how the prophets would call down answers. And this is how great minds like Thomas Edison and Nikola Tesla would harness entire breakthroughs by simply asking the question before sleep and trusting the answer would arrive before morning. This is not superstition. This is frequency. And frequency obeys intention. So what are you programming your consciousness with each night? Scrolling through chaos? Feeding it noise? Carrying your fears like luggage into the realms of light? Or are you preparing the temple? Are you sitting in stillness, even for a moment, to speak clearly to the soul? Show me, teach me, let me remember. This is not about perfection, it's about presence. You can simply lie still and whisper with your heart, tonight I will rise above fear. Tonight I will be shown what I need to see. Let my soul remember its path. Let me meet those I need to meet. And with that whisper, the dream becomes more than dreams. It becomes a message, a download, a divine appointment. And the more you do this, the more you invite the sacred into your night, the more your soul begins to trust you again. You begin to wake up with clarity, ideas, guidance, symbols that haunt you until you decode their meaning. This is no coincidence. This is dream alchemy. And once you understand that, you no longer waste your nights. You begin to realize every sleep is an opportunity. Every dream is a doorway. Every nightmare is a message, misunderstood. But here's the truth no one tells you. You don't need to do anything mystical. You already are. You don't need to chase the dream world. You are already walking it. The only difference is whether or not you remember. So remember this. Before bed, speak to your soul, not with desperation, not with doubt, but with quiet knowing. Say, I'm ready to see. I am ready to feel. I am ready to learn. Not because you're chasing a spectacle, but because you are reclaiming what's already yours. The temple is not out there. It's not in a book. It's not in someone else's words. The temple is your own body, your own breath, your own soul whispering to you in the language of dreams. And when you listen, truly listen, you'll realize you've never been alone. That every night, a part of you returns to something ancient, something beautiful, something realer than this world dares to admit. A place where light speaks, where symbols breathe, where guides wait patiently for you to remember how to look. And all you have to do is sleep, like the ancients did, with reverence. The body may rest, but the soul, it rises. There are dreams you forget before the sun even rises. And then there are dreams that never leave you. Dreams that linger like incense in the corridors of your memory. Dreams that speak in riddles, symbols, and strange beauty. As if someone or something encoded a message meant only for you. And perhaps they did, because not all dreams are random flickers of a resting brain. Some are transmissions, some are memories, and some are encounters. Carl Jung knew this. He called the dreamscape a portal, a bridge between your personal subconscious and something far greater, the collective unconscious. A realm beneath the surface of individuality where all minds connect, where every human symbol, the serpent, the stairway, the storm, lives like an ancient archetype waiting to awaken. He believed that when you dream, you aren't just processing your life, you are stepping into an inheritance, a vault of universal memory that speaks in myth and metaphor. And this vault, it's alive. It's why so many people across cultures, across generations, report dreaming the same things: falling, flying, being chased, losing teeth, arriving naked. It's not coincidence, it's code. And once you begin to decipher it, you unlock a power far greater than self-reflection. You begin to tap into the sacred language of the soul. Symbolic dreams are the spirit's way of speaking without words, because the deeper layers of your consciousness don't speak English. They speak imagery, emotion, vibration. To dream of a house may not mean a house, but your inner world. To dream of drowning may not be fear, but emotional overwhelm, calling for healing. And to dream of someone long gone might not be memory, but visitation. Because while you sleep, you are not bound by the rules of the waking world. Time stretches, space bends, the linear becomes circular. And in this elastic dream field, a strange thing begins to happen. You're not the only one there. Some nights, you may find yourself in a dream, so vivid, so specific, only to wake up and discover someone else had the same dream. A friend, a sibling, a partner, describing the same room, the same event, the same symbols you swore were your own. How is this possible? Because in the dream realm, the illusion of separation weakens. You are not an isolated mind. You are a node in a vast web of consciousness. Quantum physics calls it the unified field, a level of reality where everything is entangled, where your thoughts ripple into the cosmos and return to you as synchronicity. And within this field, consciousness can sync. Two dreamers, attuned by love or resonance or destiny, can access the same symbolic terrain. These are shared dreams. And while the world brushes them off as coincidence, those who've lived them know otherwise. Because when two people dream the same dream, not once, but repeatedly, with matching details, emotions, and encounters, something is being revealed. That our minds are not private rooms, they are windows. And when the conditions are right, those windows open onto the same horizon. This is not just philosophy. It is testimony, from children waking up crying about the same nightmare, to lovers separated by distance, meeting each other in luminous dream gardens, to strangers on opposite ends of the planet, reporting the same visions during times of crisis. These are not just stories. They are signs that while you sleep, you are not alone. And it goes even deeper. Because if your dreams can connect you to others, they can also connect you to your future. Have you ever dreamed something, only to live it days, weeks, even years later? A conversation, a street, a moment, so exact, it stops you in your tracks. This is precognition, and it challenges everything we've been told about time. You see, your conscious mind walks in straight lines, but your subconscious lives in spirals. It remembers forward. It senses patterns the waking mind cannot detect. Einstein once said, "The distinction between past, present, and future is only a stubbornly persistent illusion." And in the dream world, that illusion shatters. Physicists like John Wheeler explored this, suggesting that events in the future might ripple back and shape the past. So if time is not a chain, but a seer, then your dreams may be waves, bringing you glimpses of what's yet to come. Abraham Lincoln dreamed of his own death. Days before his assassination, countless people have dreamed of disasters. Titanic, before they unfolded. These are not accidents. They are echoes, messages caught in the net of non-linear consciousness, surfacing when we're still enough to receive them. So how can you know the difference? A symbolic dream feels like poetry. A precognitive dream feels like memory. Too sharp, too real, too specific to ignore. And when you have one, you feel it. In your gut, in your bones. A knowing beyond logic. This is the power of the dream realm. Not just to reflect your mind, but to reveal the deeper order of reality. To show you that the future is not a wall, it is a window, and your soul has always known how to see through it. So don't ignore these dreams. Record them, revisit them, honor them. They are the footprints of your deeper self, leaving messages in the sand of time. All you have to do is follow. Not all dreams are born from the same sky. Some rise from the roots of your fear. Others fall from the stars like whispers from another world. Because not all sleep leads to rest. Some sleep leads to revelation, to realms within realms, to planes so fluid, so intelligent, so precise in their response to you. You begin to realize something ancient and electrifying. You don't enter the dream world. You create it by what you are. The soul is not a tourist in the astral plane. It is a tuning fork, and the frequency of your emotions, your thoughts, your beliefs, determines what you touch and what touches you back. The astral realm is not one place. It is a layered reality, stacked in vibration, like invisible worlds, all occupying the same space, but accessed by different states of being. It's like tuning a radio. Change the frequency, and the entire broadcast changes. Theosophy, Hermeticism, Spiritism, all agree there are levels, and each night as you sleep, your consciousness moves among them. Let's speak of these levels now, not as fantasy but as maps your soul already knows. The lower astral plane, it's dense, heavy, sticky with unresolved energy. This is where many nightmares are born. You may have been here, in that dream where you're being chased, where fear feels thick as fog, where everything is warped and chaotic. This is not punishment. It is resonance. It is where unhealed parts of you gather form, and where your own shadow wears the mask of monster until you dare to face it. This plane is not evil. It is honest. It shows you what you've buried, so you can reclaim it. Then there is the middle astral plane. This is where most people dream. It is symbolic, elastic, a theater of your thoughts and feelings, where memory, imagination, and spirit blend. Here, you may find yourself in familiar places with impossible geometry. See people who are alive and dead together. Talk to animals who speak wisdom in riddles. It is the realm of metaphors, of puzzles meant not to confuse you, but to teach you. When you begin to dream lucidly, to realize you're dreaming inside the dream, this is often where you are. And the moment you recognize that the dream responds to your intention, you become the architect. But beyond this, there is the higher astral plane. Here, words fail, because what waits in this space is not just more dream, but pure consciousness in motion. There are cities of light, as real as the ground beneath you now, temples that radiate knowledge, gardens where thought becomes color and emotion becomes sound. Many who reach this place speak of encountering guides, not imagined, but unmistakably real. Not just helpful voices, but radiant beings that seem woven from love itself. Here, you don't speak with mouths. You exchange through vibration, through instant knowing, through heart-to-heart resonance. Some have described vast libraries where ancient wisdom flows into the mind, like water into a vessel. Others recall being taught lessons, not like in school, but as if their soul was being shown its own origin, its own mission. These are not metaphors. They are memories. Your soul already knows this place. It came from there, and each time you return, you awaken a little more. But you cannot reach it through fear, only through resonance. The higher astral vibrates with love, clarity, and peace. To visit, you must carry the same. This is why intention matters. Why clearing your emotional field before sleep is not superstition, but spiritual physics. When your vibration aligns with the frequency of these realms, they become available. And if they feel distant, it's not because you're unworthy, it's because you're still believing you are. But when you begin to unburden yourself through forgiveness, gratitude, and humility, the elevator rises, the light breaks in, and what you once called a dream becomes a sacred return. These planes, lower, middle, higher, are not separate places. They are reflections. They are layers of your own being. And every night, without knowing, you move among them. The nightmare is not a curse. It is a classroom. The neutral dream is a message. The luminous dream is a memory of where you came from. And the key to it all is presence. Begin to witness your dreams, not with judgment, but with curiosity. Record them, feel them, decode them. Because in these landscapes, you are not just a character. You are the canvas. And every fear you face, every guide you meet, every temple you walk into, is part of you. The dream is not separate from the dreamer, and the astral realm is not separate from your soul. You are both, traveler and terrain. And now, perhaps for the first time in this life, you are beginning to remember. Some dreams don't feel like dreams at all. They arrive wrapped in a silence so deep, a stillness so holy, you wake not with confusion, but with reverence. And you know, without knowing how you know, that what just happened wasn't imagined. It was real. Because sometimes, while your body sleeps, you are visited, not by fantasy, but by presence, not by thought, but by being. These are not ordinary dreams. These are sacred encounters, and they are more common than you think. Millions have reported meeting someone in their sleep, a figure radiant with warmth or a familiar face long since past. Sometimes it's a guide, other times a lost loved one, and in some cases, a stranger who speaks like they've known your soul forever. But were these just fragments of memory, or did something truly cross the veil? Ask those who've experienced it. They will tell you with a certainty no waking logic can shake. It wasn't a dream, they say. I felt them. I spoke to them. They told me things I couldn't have made up. And often, they remember details, messages, emotions, even gestures that leave ripples in their lives long after the sun rises. These encounters happen not in the imagination, but in the higher astral, where intention shapes reality and vibration is truth. It's here, in this luminous terrain, that souls can meet, not just for comfort, but for communion. Sometimes a grandmother comes to say she's watching. Sometimes a child who passed too soon returns to offer peace. And sometimes you meet a being you've never seen, but feel like you've always known. A guide, a teacher, a luminous entity who radiates not words, but understanding. They don't instruct the way we do down here. They transmit. You just know. You wake up with clarity, an idea, a sense of purpose, or even a warning, subtle yet profound. But the encounters don't stop there. Some dreamers speak of being taken to halls of light, temples floating in radiant space, where other souls gather in study. Yes, actual learning, not of numbers or facts, but of universal principles. The nature of soul evolution, the laws of vibration, the architecture of reality. These are called the spiritual schools of the night, and they've been described in mystical texts for centuries. They don't appear every night. They are not tourist attractions. You are taken there only when you're ready, when your vibration aligns, when your soul asks the right question, and when you are brought there, you'll know, because these dreams stay with you. The colors are brighter, the space more real than waking life, and the knowledge received transforms you, sometimes subtly, sometimes all at once. You may wake up and finally understand something you've struggled with for years. You may receive a vision of your path, or a message you didn't know you needed, until the moment you heard it. These moments don't happen randomly. They are invitations, but you must participate, because like any relationship, contact with the spiritual realm deepens with attention, with respect, with ritual. Before you sleep, if your heart is heavy with longing, speak to them, the ones you've lost, the ones who guide, the light beings who teach. Say their names, if you know them. Call to them, if you don't, with sincerity, not desperation, not control, but invitation. I am ready. Meet me tonight. Let me remember when I wake. Keep a journal near your bed, and when you rise, write, even fragments, even feelings, even the parts that don't make sense yet, because the dream world speaks in echoes. Sometimes you won't understand right away, but the message will unfold when you're ready to receive. And even if you remember nothing, don't lose faith. Your consciousness does more than your memory can hold. Sometimes the lesson is planted deep, a seed for another time, but it was planted, and that matters, because with every intentional sleep, you become more lucid. Not just in dreams, but in life, you begin to live with greater awareness, greater gentleness, greater wisdom, because something inside you knows you are more than this world told you. You are connected to something vast, and it remembers you. So tonight, when you lie down, know that you are not just resting. You are entering the temple, the classroom, the council, the sacred mirror, and on the other side of that mirror, someone is waiting to comfort you, to teach you, to remind you of what you truly are. Not a body with a soul, but a soul temporarily wearing a body. And the night, it is not your escape, it is your return. Not all dreams are light. Some come dressed in shadows, with fear in their hands and chaos in their breath. These are the ones we call nightmares. And yet, what if I told you that nightmares are not your enemy? What if they are guides in disguise? Dark teachers from the deeper realms of your psyche? Because nothing in the dream world happens by accident. Everything you encounter is either a mirror, a message, or a memory. Nightmares are your soul's alarm bells. They show you what you haven't healed. They bring up what you've buried. They confront you with the very things you're trying to avoid in the daylight. But the dream has no interest in your comfort, only in your evolution. You see, the unconscious speaks in drama. It has no time for polite conversation. So it delivers its messages with masks and metaphors, fear, fire, monsters, darkness, all shaped by the energy of your unresolved emotion. The ancients understood this. To them, the nightmare wasn't a punishment. It was a challenge, a test, an initiation. In shamanic traditions, dreams of snakes, storms, or death were not feared. They were studied, honored, because the darker the dream, the deeper the wisdom hidden within it. Nightmares are not curses. They are calls to consciousness. They say, look here. This fear, face it. This wound, heal it. This shadow, integrate it. The monster chasing you in your sleep, that might be your repressed anger, your guilt, your grief, the collapsing bridge, your crumbling belief system. The faceless stranger, a disowned part of you waiting to be recognized. And when you learn to face them, to stand still inside the dream and say, I see you, everything changes. Fear loses its grip. Power returns to your hands. And what once terrified you begins to transform. This is not imagination. It is dream alchemy. And at the center of this practice lies one of the most profound gateways in all of sleep. Sleep paralysis. Yes, the terrifying moment when you wake up and cannot move. Your mind is aware, but your body is frozen. And sometimes you feel something else in the room with you. A presence, a pressure, a shadow. It's one of the most frightening things a human can experience. And yet, it might also be one of the most misunderstood. Science tells us that sleep paralysis happens when your brain wakes before your body does. The REM cycle is still active, keeping the muscles paralyzed to prevent acting out dreams. But consciousness flickers on. It's a glitch, a biological overlap. But the mystics tell a deeper story. They say sleep paralysis is a threshold state, a moment when the veil thins and your consciousness hovers between body and beyond. Many who practice astral projection learn to use this state as a launching pad, because in this stillness, you are neither fully here nor fully there. You are in between, and in that space, you can choose panic, and the moment collapses into fear, or breathe. Stay calm, focus on your third eye, feel the vibration rise, and let yourself lift. Thousands have reported spontaneous out-of-body experiences immediately following sleep paralysis, rising above their beds, gliding through walls, meeting guides on the other side. It's terrifying until it's liberating. But what about those darker presences? The shadow in the corner? The being at the foot of your bed? Are they real? Sometimes yes, sometimes no. Sometimes they are fragments of your own shadow, taking form in a realm where thought becomes matter. Other times, they are visitors, drawn not to your body but to your light. Not all entities in the astral are benevolent. Just as in the physical world, there are varying levels of awareness. But here's the truth. You are never powerless. You are a sovereign soul. You carry the light of Source. And no entity, no matter how dark, can harm you unless you give it permission through fear. So when you find yourself in a frightening dream or frozen in sleep with shadows around, remember this: you have authority. Call upon your light. Invoke divine protection. Speak with the voice of your highest self. You do not have permission to be here. I am protected. I am guided. I am free. And they vanish. Every time, because fear is the doorway. But so is power. And when you stand in your power, you become untouchable. The night is not always gentle, but it is always sacred. And even the darkest dream can be a teacher in disguise. So don't fear the nightmare. Listen to it. Ask, what are you here to show me? Then wake and write it down. Because often, what begins as terror ends in transformation. And you may just find that the monster was never something to run from, but a part of you asking to be brought back into the light. Some mornings, you wake up tired, not just groggy, but hollow, like you traveled 1,000 miles through invisible corridors and returned with only fragments. And in truth, you did, because while your body lay still, your consciousness may have crossed dimensions. You may have worked in places your waking self can't yet name, fought battles, solved problems, met souls, witnessed truths, too vast for language. This is the mark of the overactive dreamer, the soul that doesn't sleep, but serves. You wake not because you rested, but because you returned. Some call it astral fatigue. Others call it spiritual exhaustion. Whatever the name, the experience is real. You may feel like you barely slept, like your dreams were more vivid than life itself. Or perhaps you don't remember anything at all, just a strange weight in the body, a strange silence in the mind, like something profound happened behind the veil. This is common among empaths, healers, seekers, old souls, people whose spirits are attuned to the subtle realms, whose souls do work that the waking world cannot yet understand. You see, your spiritual self doesn't clock out when the lights go off. It continues. It explores. It serves. Some dreamers report helping souls cross over. Others feel like they were teaching, healing, even guarding. There are even those who dream not as themselves, but as someone else, another life, another timeline, as if consciousness was showing them that they are more than one expression. But this work, this deep, luminous work, comes with a cost if not balanced. Because energy is real, and even in the dream realm, it can be depleted. That's why some mornings you feel like you've been through a storm. Your limbs ash, your heart is heavy, your mind won't quiet. This isn't just tiredness, it's a sign, a signal from the soul that says, ground me, because when you travel far, you must come home. And the body, this sacred vessel, is your home. So how do you return fully? How do you re-anchor yourself after a night of astral intensity? It begins the moment you wake, before reaching for the phone, before rushing into the day. Pause, lie still, feel your breath, acknowledge the journey even if you don't remember it. Then sit up slowly. Drink water not just to hydrate, but to re-enter the flow of this dimension. Water grounds. Water seals the return. If possible, go outside. Barefoot. Let your feet touch the earth. Let your body remember gravity. Let the energies recalibrate. This is called earthing, and it's one of the simplest, most powerful tools to bring the spirit back into balance. Touch a tree. Breathe deep. Feel the sun on your face. The soul doesn't always need incense and ceremony. Sometimes it just needs nature. And if the dreams were intense, if they carried residue, don't ignore it. Cleanse, not for superstition. For clarity, a simpler bath, a few drops of salt or herbs, a visualization of light washing over you, restoring your field, sealing your spirit. Say it aloud. I call all parts of myself back to me, fully. Now, I am whole. I am grounded. I am home. And if you find yourself feeling fragmented throughout the day, lightheaded, disconnected, forgetful, pause again. Return to the breath. Place your hand on your heart. Remind your spirit that it is safe here, because even spiritual travel must honor balance. The soul soars through many skies, but it was given this body for a reason. Honor the vessel. Care for the system. Give it what it needs to stay strong between the worlds. And remember, not every journey is meant to be remembered. Some work is done in silence, in secret, in sleep. But whether or not your conscious mind can recall the details, your soul knows. Your energy carries the imprint. Your life begins to shift. Little things unfold. Old fears fall away. New paths reveal themselves. This is the fruit of night work. Not just information, but transformation. So don't fear the exhaustion. Don't curse the tiredness. It means you are moving. It means you are doing. It means you were seen and chosen and called. But also, it means it's time to come home, to balance the infinite with the intimate, to anchor the eternal in the ordinary. Because the point of traveling the stars is not to escape the earth, but to return with wisdom and live it here. Time is not what you think it is. You've been taught to see it as a line, past behind you, future ahead, and now just a vanishing dot in between. But that's not how the soul experiences time. That's not how consciousness moves through the cosmos. Because when you dream, time bends. You've felt it, haven't you? A dream that seemed to last hours, even days, compressed into mere minutes of sleep. A dream that predicted something with eerie precision, long before it ever happened. A feeling you couldn't shake. I've been here before. I saw this in a dream. You're not imagining things, you're remembering. Because sleep isn't just rest, it's access. And sometimes, it grants you a glimpse of the non-linear fabric beneath reality. A tapestry where every moment, past, present, and future, exists simultaneously, like different rooms in the same infinite house. In quantum theory, there is no fixed direction of time. The future can influence the past, and particles can be entangled, regardless of space or sequence. Physicist John Wheeler once asked, "Does the universe not only allow us to observe the present, but also participate in shaping the past? If this is true in the subatomic world, why not in consciousness? Because your mind, unshackled from the brain, free in the astral, does not obey the clock. It swims through possibilities. It enters timelines. It visits outcomes that haven't yet occurred in the physical. This is where precognitive dreams come from. Not as prophecy, but as proximity. You draw close enough to a potential future that you feel it, see it, experience it before it arrives. There are hundreds, thousands of accounts throughout history. Abraham Lincoln dreamt of his own funeral just days before he was assassinated. Mark Twain foresaw the death of his brother, down to the clothing he wore and the positioning of the body. And perhaps most haunting of all, hundreds of people around the world reported dreams of planes crashing into towers in the days leading up to 9/11. These are not flukes. These are echoes of the future, rippling backward through the sea of consciousness. And if you are tuned in, you catch them. But here's the mystery. Not all dreams are meant to warn. Some simply reflect, because what you see in the dream may not be fixed. It may be a potential, a probability, something your soul is being shown, so you can change it, or prepare for it, or understand its purpose more deeply when it comes. That's why dream interpretation is so delicate. You must ask not just what the dream showed, but why it showed you that timeline. Were you being warned? Were you being trained? Or were you simply witnessing a thread of possibility that you're now free to weave or cut? It's also why dream journaling is vital, because what makes no sense today may suddenly strike with piercing clarity weeks later. Keep the record, hold the symbols, revisit your past on trees, and you'll begin to notice something incredible. The dream knows before the waking mind does. The unconscious remembers forward, because your higher self is not bound by the clock. It sees the full field, and in sleep, it whispers glimpses of the map into your dreaming mind. You may dream of a conversation you'll have years from now. You may see the face of someone you haven't met, but will. You may experience a scene, a moment, so vivid, so precise, that when it finally happens in waking life, you know it wasn't coincidence, it was guidance. So what do you do with this? You listen, you prepare, You stay open but grounded, because precognition is not about fear. It's about clarity. It's not about becoming obsessed with what may happen. It's about aligning with the truth that you are not walking blind. You are being led, and that within you, a greater intelligence is always watching, always guiding, always whispering through dreams what your waking self is just beginning to remember. That time is not a prison, it's a mirror, and your consciousness was never meant to be linear. You are not walking a straight path. You are circling the sacred spiral. So next time you dream something strange, something that feels out of place, yet more real than real, pause. Ask yourself, is this memory, or is this a message from tomorrow? And then honor it, because you may just discover you've already been there. So now you remember, sleep is not the end of your day. It's the beginning of your becoming. It's not a void. It's a vessel, not absence but access. A holy return to the deeper self you forgot you were. Every night, you are handed a doorway. Some walk through without noticing. But you are being called to walk through with intention, because sleep is sacred. It's your invitation to travel beyond the illusion, to visit the realms where thought becomes form, where the future leaves messages in dreamlight, and where the soul, your soul, whispers truths the waking world cannot contain. So tonight, prepare like you're entering a temple. Because you are, clear your mind, soften your heart, and ask, what is my soul ready to show me? Set your intention, speak it, mean it, then surrender. Not passively but powerfully. Surrender like a mystic laying down at the feet of the infinite, ready to remember. And when morning returns, don't just wake, receive. Receive whatever comes. Fragments, symbols, emotions. Write them down. Speak them aloud. Let the thread lead you back to the memory of your multidimensional self. And if you've ever experienced a dream that felt more real than life, a meeting with someone beyond the veil, a glimpse of a future not yet lived, share it. Your story could awaken someone else. Leave it in the comments. Let this space, this channel become a field of remembering. Because together, we are not just dreaming. We are rediscovering what it means to be conscious in all dimensions. If this message resonated with you, if you felt something stir beneath the surface, like a forgotten truth rising into the light, like this video. Subscribe to Path to the Unknown. This is only the beginning. We are creating a community of seekers, soul travelers, and conscious dreamers, those who know there is more and are ready to explore it. New revelations are coming, new transmissions from the edge of the veil, and I want you there with us, fully awake, fully aware, fully alive. So before you close your eyes tonight, ask yourself, what if sleep isn't unconsciousness? What if it's the only time you're truly free? And what if the greatest lie we've ever been told is that dreams aren't real? Maybe it's time we stop seeing sleep as the end of the day and start seeing it as the beginning of the soul. Welcome to the path to the unknown,